What is up, YouTube? Zukim1 here, and I am back with a brand new YouTube video. Today I am bringing you guys a brand new video concept called a character worth talking about. So in this series we're going to be talking about different fictional and non-fictional characters that are worth a discussion or two, and taking a deeper look into that character and seeing what are their perks, what are their cons, like their bad things about them, and then talking about some of the issues that they went through and why they're worth having another discussion about and things of that nature. So the first character that we're going to start off this series with is Riku from the Kingdom Hearts series. So Riku is a character who started off as a very confident, very adventurous young child. He was bestowed upon the Keyblade at a very young age, back when he was like 8 or maybe even like 7 at the time. So he was very, very young when he was basically promised that he was going to be a Keyblade wielder somewhere down later on in his life, when he got old enough to be able to wield it or to summon it, type of thing. And so he was already endowed with the Keyblade. He had the confidence and the ability to be able to be a very strong Keyblade wielder at a very young age, which was exactly what Terra saw in Riku. So all he was a child of promise. Something similar to another character that even though I personally do not like the character, I still think he's worth another discussion about, Sasuke. Sasuke is a character who originally was an Avenger, someone who wanted to go and try to avenge his clan. Then when he tried to go, after he quote unquote successfully avenged his clan, he went to go avenge his brother because he found out the truth about his brother. Then after he quote unquote avenged his brother, he goes and tries to seek his own recreation. Right? He tries to seek his own requiem and try to move forward on in his life by challenging the person who's been in his life since the beginning for him, which was Naruto. So after they fought, they come to a standstill, where he comes to realize that there's a lot more for him to see in life before he came to before he makes these type of decisions. So he in all grew up from that event, right? Riku is a character who is very similar in that sense, of a character who started off very confident, very arrogant. He felt very confident in his abilities to be able to overpower Sora in most things that they did, whether it was racing, combat, or just simply trying to woo Kyrie or whatever, right? He just felt that he was just better and everything in comparison to Sora, right? And granted, I mean, he kind of earned the right to be able to, right? He was a hot shot on the island. There wasn't really too many people who were as as talented as Riku was. And fast forward a little bit, Riku eventually leaves the island, and then after leaving the island, he ends up interacting with Maleficent. Now remember, he was contacted by the mysterious figure to open up the door to darkness. By opening up the door to darkness, Destiny Island was flooded and brought into the darkness, and by bringing it into darkness, he was able to leave the world. But by doing so, he had to literally sacrifice everybody else on the island, right? Now obviously he's 15 at the time. He doesn't really understand the consequences of his actions to the full extent. All he realizes is that I get to leave this fucking island. That's all he cared about, and that's what he did. He plunged the world into darkness. He plunged his world into darkness and got out of it, right? And that was pretty much him in Kingdom Hearts 1. He was a very arrogant, cocky person who didn't really care about anybody else. He just wanted to do what he wanted to do. And whatever that was, which was It kind of seemed like he had real interest in Kyrie, but it was more like a FU to Sora type of thing. I honestly feel like I don't really think he liked Kyrie as much as people think he did. I think it was more like just a FU to Sora, right? Which is why there's so much fanfic between Sora and Riku, because people think that Riku had a thing for Sora. I personally don't think that, but you know, people are entitled to believe whatever they want to believe. But yeah, you know, so Riku fights against Sora, and then eventually gives in to the darkness in his heart, and then Ansem, the Answer Seeker of Darkness, gains control over Riku's body. By gaining control over Riku's body, he was able to gain more power, but by doing so, Riku basically almost lost himself completely. But thanks to the strength in his heart, he was able to gain back control over his body, also with the help of Sora, right? He was able to gain back the control of his body, but always have a constant struggle with the darkness in his heart. So we've completed the first chapter of Riku's life. He was an arrogant, cocky person who did not care about the repercussions of his actions. That was the first Riku. Now the next Riku is a pathfinding Riku, similar to what Sasuke was doing after he had discovered the truth, right? After Riku had discovered the truth, now he's trying to find out, who am I, right? So he goes to Castle Oblivion, but unlike Sora's experience in Castle Oblivion, he was going from the top stairs down to the first floor, whereas Sora was going upstairs from the first floor all the way up, which is why his is called R for reverse. Fun fact, in case you guys didn't know that. So Riku was basically trying to figure himself out, but also trying to conquer the darkness within his heart. At first he was intimidated and very frightened to use this power because he didn't want it to control him like it did before. But by gaining confidence in his abilities and trusting in his friends, he eventually finds the necessary courage to be able to eventually conquer the darkness in his heart and fight against Ansem, the Seeker of Darkness, and control him completely. But before that happens, he has to come face to face with the thing he fears the most, himself, which he sees in Replica Riku. Now, Replica Riku was exactly what Riku was before he came to Castle Oblivion, which was an arrogant, cocky person who only thought of himself, right? So Replica Riku obviously knows that he does not exist. He is just a shell of a person, right? And a lot of people thought that he was just going to be a character within Chain of Memories, but as you guys can see, he is definitely inside of Kingdom Hearts 3. So, you know, be on the lookout for Replica Riku again, guys. Don't think that he was just a one-time thing. He's gonna finish his story in Kingdom Hearts 3. So whatever that story is, it's going to be finished in 3. But back to the point. So Replica Riku helped Riku realize that where he was before and where he needs to go forward in life. So Replica Riku was a big help in helping Riku mature into the person that he wants to be. And that's why his Keyblade evolved from being the Soul Eater to the Way to the Dawn. Now, if you remember, in the first Kingdom Hearts game, his Keyblade was the Soul Eater. And all throughout the original Chain of Memories and Re-Chain of Memories, he used the Soul Eater. So all the time he would always use the Soul Eater. After he had evolved and matured, he only used the Way to the Dawn. Now the Way to the Dawn was him confronting and controlling the darkness within his heart. But he got to a point where the darkness was so overwhelming within him that the only way he can keep it from leaking out was by sealing off his eyes. Basically, the darkness within his heart was so strong that if he could control it, but it would change the way that he looked. Something similar to, if any of you guys have ever seen Adventure Time, where Jake had found out that he was an alien and not exactly the magical dog that he thought he was. And when he found that out, he had to basically confront himself and realize that he is who he is. It doesn't matter what he looks like, because he's always going to be Jake inside and out. And then by realizing that, he ends up becoming who he wants to look like. And the same thing applies with Riku. So throughout Kingdom Hearts 2, Riku is only trying to wake up Sora and protect Sora, and then trying to take out the organization and the help from the shadows, right? He doesn't want to necessarily confront Sora, because he knows that that's confronting the darkness, that's confronting his mistakes, that's confronting the people who trusted and loved him. But when he finally did confront them, he was able to conquer the darkness within his heart, and then eventually look the way he was supposed to look. And that's when we get the coolest looking Riku, by the way. Kingdom Hearts 2 Riku, hands down the coolest Riku by far. There is no other Riku that looks anywhere near as cool as him, by the way. Kingdom Hearts 3 Riku is cool, but that Kingdom Hearts 2 Riku was, that shit was baller. That hair, that was nice. I'm not gay or nothing, but that was nice, bro. That, yeah. Square Enix, if you're listening, make sure you guys make him look like that again somewhere down the line, because that was the spice right there. That was the spice. But yeah, so after confronting his friends and eventually coming to a point where he was able to accept who he is and what he has, he was able to take the form of Riku again. Riku, not Ansem the Answer Seeker of Darkness, because he looked like Ansem the Seeker of Darkness because that's who he believed he was in his heart. But after confronting his heart and making him realize, I am Riku, I'm always going to be Riku. Ansem the Seeker of Darkness does not exist anymore. I defeated him. It is only just me. I am in control of my heart. And when he confronted that, he was exactly that, in control of his heart. And with the with Sora and Riku combined, they were able to defeat Ansem. Now we get to the last segment of Riku's life, which is the Master of Master arc, or the solidarity arc, where he finally realized who he is, and he is truly comfortable with who he is, right? So throughout the Dream Drop distance, you don't really see him struggle as much with the darkness. You don't really see him struggle as much to use the power and things of that nature. But you can see he has problems talking to Ansem and things of that nature, because it's still a constant reminder, like, yes, I'm here, right? And by the end of the game, because they really did a really good job with Riku's story, by the end of the game, you really see that he is not fazed by Ansem anymore. Like, he has no leverage over his heart by any means necessary anymore. And he has completely conquered the darkness within his heart, and has learned how to use the light, because Riku does have light, and he learns how to use both light and dark to be able to become the true Keyblade Master. So that's why Riku was picked over Sora, because Sora never came confronted with darkness, and when he did, he almost became the vessel for Master Xehanort, right? Whereas Riku had learned how to control both the darkness and the light to be able to become a true Keyblade Master, which is something I think Master Ericus has struggled with, because he was all about light, right? And the only other master that I know of was Awkward. She was pretty much like Ericus. So I don't know how they were judging. I guess it's per master type of thing. Because if that's the case, then yo, Master Disney or Get Sid, you doing the right. You doing the right, bro. Teaching people about balance instead of overwhelming amount of light or overwhelming amount of darkness is the wrong thing to try to teach them, which is the two principles of Master Ericus and Master Xehanort. Xehanort was all about darkness, 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 right? Which is why all his little bodies would always talk about darkness. And then his Master Ericus, on the other hand, right? Master Ericus, all he talked about was the light. So light this, light that, must not extinguish the light. Light, 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 light. That's all he talked about, right? So these two were polar opposites of each other. And so their students, of course, would be polar opposites of each other, which was Vanitas and Terra. We're going to use those two as an example, right? So Terra was trained to be in the light and was tempted by the darkness because, shit, he was like, hey, dude, your master didn't pick you because he saw you use darkness. That's not cool, right? Like, if you know how to use darkness, you should be able to use the darkness. And he was like, you know what? You right? Whereas with Riku, he never had those types of situations where he had to make those types of decisions. And the reason why I bring up Terra in this particular situation is because Terra and Riku are parallel to each other. Both of them took the same path. Both of them wanted to be strong for their friends. They wanted to be able to be the backbone and the structure for their friendship and stuff like that. They wanted to do everything that their friends and family needed for them to be able to do. But by the end of the whole thing, the only thing that was left was Terra losing his body, but not his will, because he lost his heart. But his heart was strong enough to hold on. That's why he still, even though Master Xehanort's heart is inside of Terra, he still doesn't lose everything of himself. He's still in there, surprisingly. And he hasn't been completely taken over, which is why Xemnas, when he became Xemnas, he still had ties to Ventus and wanted to protect Ventus and look for Ventus and heavily invested in Ventus. Obviously, they also wanted Ventus to forge the Keyblade, but Terra just has natural interest in Ventus because that's his best friend. But back to Riku. Riku didn't have to deal with those types of issues that Terra had to deal with, which makes you wonder, would Riku would have ended up in the same path as Terra? Because Terra was a person who just wanted the best for his friends and tried to do whatever was necessary. When Master Ericus tried to kill Ventus because he didn't want Xehanort to get a hold of him to forge the Keyblade, Terra protected him, but by doing so he killed his father / master and plunged the world of department into darkness, making it become the Castle of Oblivion, right? So because of that one action, all of that happened. But all he wanted to do was protect his friends, which Riku also wanted to do. Another parallel between the two characters is that they believe in strength. They believe in being strong. That's what Terra was all about, was strength, 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 strength. And Master Xehanort would always give these illusions of grandeurs of power, right? So power, 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 right? And there was no Sora in the group for the original trio. You could argue and say Ventus was supposed to be that for them, but honestly, Ventus was more closer he was closer to Roxas than he was to Sora. So yeah, Sora, I can honestly say in terms of like from a character perspective, we've seen his character before, but from a narrative perspective, there is nobody else like Sora in their story. From what we've seen so far. So Sora is the only Sora-like character, where a ray of sunshine and happiness and I believe in my friends and my power type of thing. Whereas Ventus, he wanted to be strong and he wanted to protect his friends. he wasn't like necessarily saying they was his power type of thing, if that makes sense, right? He cared about them and wanted to protect them, but he didn't say that they was his power. Whereas Sora literally draws power from his friends. When they looked inside his heart, all his friends was literally the thing protecting his heart, right? And I mean, well put, because they all took refuge in this man's heart. So it would only make sense for them to protect it if they took refuge in there, because Diz was inside his heart too. But again, so they wanted to protect their friends. They believed in strength, and they've both been tempted by darkness. One was succumbed by darkness, but the other one conquered the darkness. So it's really just an interesting situation where if one of them would have made one different decision, the other one could have been the other one in that situation. Meaning Terra could have been Riku, and Riku could have been Terra, and vice versa, right? Well, obviously we got the vice versa, because Terra is Terranot and Riku is just Riku. So yeah, what do I think about the character? I think Riku is a very well thought out character. I'm a big sucker for redemption type of characters. Again, like I told you before, I didn't personally connect with Sasuke on the level that I connect with Riku or Siegfried, because Siegfried was responsible for his father's death, but eventually after confronting Nightmare, he came to realize, like, hey, you know, I have to take ownership for the mistakes that I've made. Whereas Sasuke doesn't really care about the mistakes that he made or the people that he hurted along the way, right? He never apologized. He apologized, but it was kind of more like a haphazardly sorry, and he knew that they would have folded and forgave him. Like that's being more of a bully and an asshole than it is being a real genuine friend, in my personal opinion. So yeah, so I think that Riku is a very well thought out character. Is he original? Unfortunately, no. Again, like I said before, there are plenty of other characters who've taken his trope, and what makes a character original is not necessarily having a unique trope, because that's very difficult to try to find a unique trope. Actually, I don't think there is any unique tropes. It's about how the character was executed. So in my personal opinion, I feel like Itachi, a character of sacrifice, characters who sacrifice stuff, his character is original, and I'll talk about him another day. But just know that I think that Itachi is an original character in terms of how they've gone about writing his character, whereas Riku, yet not original, is very well written in my personal opinion, and I personally enjoy him more than I enjoy any other Kingdom Hearts character in the story so far. So he went from being somebody I hated the most to somebody I loved the most, and that's just truly a testimony to how much character progression Riku has made. That's another big thing for me. Another thing that I wanted to bring up, which was the second topic, which is character progression, right? From where they started to where they are now, how much have they grown, how much have they changed, and how much of them are still the same, right? And the key factors, the good parts of Riku are still intact. The parts that needed to change, changed, and he has become a better man from it. Right, because Riku is no longer a boy; he is a grown man, right? And you know, with that being said, he has a different world and a different type of perspective than Sora would at this point in time in life, right? Not saying that Sora is, you know, inexperienced or a child in this particular situation. They've been in similar situations. It's more like Riku is just older. That's it. And Riku would have a little bit better of an understanding than Sora would. So in terms of tropes, I feel like he's a very well written character, very well designed. I really like the costume designs and things of that nature. He has had a lot of character growth, a lot of character progression. You have seen him change dramatically over the 15 years that we've been watching and playing Kingdom Hearts. And the last thing, which is, where can the character go from here? Honestly, I have no idea what they want to do with Riku. As it stands right now, Riku could actually be written off and or killed, and it would totally be fine in my opinion. Not that I'm saying I want them to, Akira Toriyama, Tatsuya Nomura to kill off my boy Riku. I'm just saying that if he did die and sacrifice to try to protect someone or try to close off Kingdom Hearts or something like that, it would make sense, and I would be fine with that. And I would be able to understand that, because Riku has reached he's already been over the climax of his character, which was conquering the darkness. Now that he's conquered the darkness, what else is there for his character to do? Right? There isn't really much for him to do. Maybe find love, maybe settle down, find a family. But that's not something that most Kingdom Hearts characters do, from what we've seen, because as you can see, Master Ericus only had a son. We've never met his mother. Same thing with Sora. We don't know about his parents at all. Even though I don't think Tetsuya Nomura really care about the parents. But you get the idea. We really just focus on the individual life, is what I'm basically alluding to. So I don't know what else he can do with Riku's character. So if Riku was to die at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, it would be very sad, and it would hit me very hard. It would be like when I had lost Neji. But honestly, I felt like I lost Neji at the beginning of Naruto Shippuden, when Kishimoto did a terrible job writing any other characters other than Naruto, Sasuke, and anybody with a dojutsu. So if you had Rinnegan or Sharingan, you were broken, and you were going to stay broken throughout the entirety of the series. But if you didn't have that, if you wasn't Naruto, and you didn't have a dojutsu, you were fucking garbage, and no one cared about you at all. Or the Akatsuki, 1, 2, or 3. The Akatsuki, and even all of the Akatsuki at one point in time got murked. So they got murked pretty early too in the series. But regardless, like I was saying before, he has a his character is well written. He has seen a lot of character progression, and the future of the character is unknown at this point. We don't know what he can accomplish with this character anymore. I personally feel like Riku has done everything that he could possibly want to do, and if Tatsuya Nomura really wants to hit home like he said he wanted to, and make this story really stand out amongst all the other Kingdom Hearts stories, like that darker tone that he was talking about, losing someone as one of the original trio, the trio that we grew up with before we knew about Aqua, Terra, and Ventus, that would hurt us a lot, right? Obviously losing Riku, the third most popular character of the Kingdom Hearts series, from the Famitsu interviews and stuff like that, or whatever it is. But it would set a great precedent, and it would also, let us know as the fans that his story is over, right? There's nothing else for him to accomplish. He's done everything, right? He's become a Keyblade master. He's found solace in his life. He's no longer tormented by his darkness anymore, and he is perfectly happy with life again. So if you guys did enjoy this video, please make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. I will be doing another one of these in about 2 weeks from now. We are going to try to stick within the realm of video games for right now. We're going to touch in anime and anime TV shows and stuff like that, maybe somewhere later down the line, but right now we just want to stick within the realm of video games. The next character is someone of a Nordic background. I'll give you guys a little hint. He has a Nordic background, very loud, very boisterous, and he believes that he is he is tormented by his immortality. So, yeah, I will see you guys then. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this. If you didn't, just let me know. I'll try to make some changes. Hopefully, you know, I can try to figure out what exactly do you guys like about the series, what don't you like about the series, and you know, I can try to improve on it, because I do like this. I do want to continue to do more of these written essays talking about characters and their struggles and what makes them into good characters and stuff like that. So yeah, I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.